Hi, it's National Women's History Month, and we are so excited at the Community Faith Church that we are featuring a series of women this month who all fit the description of women's history. They are impactful women. In fact, we're talking about women of impact. That's what we're calling it at the COF. And of course, we took the liberty of going beyond February into March with Black History Month. So this is Black History Month too. All right. So that's how we do it at the COF. But I'm so honored and delighted and humbled to be in the home of an amazing woman I've known for a very long time. This Carol Galloway. How you doing?
Fine, Bishop. How you doing?
I'm doing amazingly well. Glad to be with you always. I'm still laughing from our previous conversation. But it's good to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you here as well.
Yeah. And you in the work life. I know you were working at one time. For what company would you tell me?
Oh, I was the third black that was hired at Texas Instrument.
Yeah.
And this was as soon as they signed the Civil Rights Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I already had done my research and knew that the telephone company, Southwest Mail, and Texas Instrument were one of the two major corporations that paid more than school teachers make.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And of course, I taught music. That's what I did in my home. I had a private studio. I was a private music teacher right after I married. That's what I
Wow.
did. And so I closed down my music studio and I went and applied to Texas Instruments because my husband wanted me to work.
Okay.
He wanted me to stay home and be a mother and housewife.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not me. I'm a very outgoing person. I got a lot of energy.
Yeah, you do.
And so I just had to get out the house and do something. I just wanted to change courses in my life. So I was the third black at a hired Texas Instrument. I was the first black to be promoted into an office at Texas Instrument and over a department. And that was because I worked and saved the company millions of dollars. Because when the police pulled my father over when I was 9 years old,
Wow.
my father had just bought, that was back in 1949, he just bought a brand new 1949 Chevrolet. We was coming from our country home and down the highway. Of course, there wasn't no freeways, down South Main, coming from Wharton County.
Wharton.
And the police, as soon as we got to Sugar Land where the big Imperial Company, there was a light there, it's Highway 6 now. And my father said, you guys, the Highway Patrol pulled up beside us. He said, told my sister and I, were just the two of us, he said, now you guys be quiet back there. He said, because this officer is looking at me. That means that he is going to pull me over as soon as I take off from this light. I said, oh, Daddy, no. He said, yes. And sure enough, as soon as my father pulled off from the light, the officer put the siren on. And so the officer came and called him a boy. And he had the nerve to say, what you doing driving a car like this? Who car is this? And my father started talking like a slave. He said, yes. I said, what? I told myself, I said, girl, listen, Dad, what is he talking about? My father looked back, he said, I told y'all, be quiet right there. And so my father said, asked him, did he mind talking like a slave? Did he mind him reaching over in his glove compartment to show his the paper? He said, well, how could you get a car like this? My father said, the good old white man in River Oaks, so I works for him. I said, what? You know?
Yeah.
And it was just so hurting. So after he finally saw the papers that my father owned the car, he was the owner, and he told him he didn't want to see us back on the highway no more.
Wow.
And you better get on down this road. Let me catch you down here, down this road. And so after, when that's what started me. I mean, this stayed with me all my life.
I want you to take the last minute and just look at the camera and say to the younger generation of young ladies, young women, who need to understand their value and how they can make a difference if they commit their lives to being a life that God can use.
Well, what I would say to the young people, first of all, you have to love yourself. But you must know that God loves you because God loves all his children. If you don't have love at home or whatever, just think about God. He loves you, and anything desired in your heart, if you respect yourself, respect others, God will take care of the rest of you. And you must believe and have faith, because without faith, you cannot survive. So keep the faith and know that God is with you at all times. And that's what I would like to say to my young people. And if there is not the source that you need, there's always someone waiting in the wings to assist you whatever you need. So just take your time and remember, God loves you.
This is Miss Carol Galloway. It's National Women's History Month. She's definitely a woman of impact.